Raja Jackson, the son of UFC legend Quinton Rampage Jackson, is now facing possible felony charges after a shocking wrestling brawl turned into a real police investigation. What started as a small indie event in Los Angeles spiraled into chaos when Raja stormed the ring and launched a violent, uncontrolled attack on wrestler Syko Stu. The disturbing footage showed Raja slamming Stu to the mat and delivering more than 20 punches to his face while fans screamed in horror. Within minutes, clips of the attack spread across social media, and by the next morning, the LAPD confirmed they were investigating the incident as a potential felony battery case. This wasn't just a night of wrestling gone wrong. It became a scandal that put Raja's entire future in jeopardy. And as more details surface, the question isn't just whether this was staged or real, but whether Raja's career is over before it ever truly began. The chaos began at a small wrestling event in Los Angeles. On August 23, 2025, fans at Knox Pro Wrestling Academy thought they were getting a regular indie show. Instead, they witnessed something that felt ripped out of a nightmare. In the middle of a match featuring wrestler Stuart Smith, better known as Syko Stu, Raja Jackson suddenly stormed into the ring without warning. At first, the audience thought it might have been part of the act. Wrestling often blurs the lines between fiction and reality, so when Raja charged in, fans assumed it was just another shocking moment meant to grab attention. But what happened next made it clear this wasn't scripted. Raja lifted Stu off the ground and slammed him down with force that echoed across the arena. The sound of Stu's head hitting the mat made the crowd gasp, and that's when the atmosphere shifted from excitement to fear. Then, before anyone could react, Raja unleashed a flurry of punches, more than 20 straight shots to the head and face. The audience's shock turned into panic as the attack continued, and wrestlers backstage scrambled into the ring to pull him away. Children in the crowd screamed, parents covered their eyes, and the whole venue dissolved into chaos. The attack left Stu bloodied and barely conscious, while Raja fought off anyone who tried to stop him. Fans watching in person and online could only gasp as the night of entertainment transformed into a disturbing real-life assault. In those few minutes, Raja went from being known as Rampage's son to being the face of one of the most reckless outbursts in wrestling history, and the fallout would only grow from there. In the days after the attack, fans began piecing together clips and leaked footage that raised even more questions. One video showed Raja outside the venue earlier that night, hanging out with other wrestlers. In that clip, fellow performers joked about giving them receipts, a term in wrestling slang that means payback. They hinted that Raja could run into the ring during Stu's match and make something out of it. At first, it almost sounded like the incident was pre-planned, like they were setting the stage for drama. But here's the problem. What Raja actually did inside the ring went far beyond what anyone expected. A receipt in wrestling usually means a stiff hit, maybe a real slap or a hard bump, but it's still controlled. Raja's attack was not controlled. It was raw aggression. 20 plus punches, a brutal slam, and total disregard for Stu's safety. Even some of the wrestlers who hyped him up were later seen trying to pull him off, shouting at him to stop. Then came another piece of footage, the infamous can incident. Earlier in the evening, Stu had smacked Raja across the head with a drink can in the parking lot. On video, Raja can be heard angrily saying, "This isn't going to be scripted, I'm going to show him." That clip alone gave the impression that Raja had already made up his mind to retaliate, not as part of a storyline, but out of real anger. The lesson here? Whether it was sparked by peer pressure, the drink can slap, or just his own boiling rage, Raja blurred the lines between performance and reality in the worst way possible. What some thought would be playful wrestling drama turned into a violent display that left the audience stunned and the wrestling world divided. Before we go any further, I want to take a moment to thank all of you. We just reached 500 subscribers, and I can't put into words how much that means to me. Every single one of you who clicked that button helped me get halfway to my ultimate goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers. But here's the crazy part. Right now, about 99% of viewers still aren't subscribed. So if you're enjoying this video and want to see more stories like this one, hitting that subscribe button makes all the difference. Even one subscribe means the world to me, and it keeps this channel growing stronger every single day. As always, let's grow this together. Thank you for watching, and now back to the video. Within hours of the attack, the footage was everywhere. Because the event was streamed live on Kick, clips of Raja storming the ring and unleashing punches spread like wildfire. On X, TikTok, and YouTube, thousands replayed the moment Stu's head hit the mat. For many who weren't even fans of wrestling, this was their first introduction to Raja Jackson, and it wasn't the debut anyone expected. At first, some assumed it was part of the act. Wrestling thrives on chaos, and a fighter's son showing up fit the script. But the more fans rewatched, the clearer it became. Raja wasn't pulling punches, these are full force strikes. Stu wasn't selling pain, he was genuinely hurt. By night's end, most agreed this wasn't a storyline gone too far, it was an assault. Backlash came fast. Fans called it one of indie wrestling's most disgraceful moments. Commentators dissected every frame, noting how wrestlers rushing in weren't performing, they were panicked. Parents who brought children to the show bashed the event, furious it turned into something kids should never have witnessed. The lesson was clear. In the livestream era, there's no hiding. Once the footage spread, Raja's reputation was sealed. Instead of being known as a rising fighter, he became infamous for a violent meltdown that shocked even veteran fans, and the fallout was just getting started. By the next day, it was clear this incident wasn't going to fade away. The LAPD confirmed officers were called to Knox Pro Wrestling around 9 p.m. with reports of a possible felony battery. Raja had already left, but Stu was rushed to the hospital with serious injuries, broken facial bones, missing teeth, and memory loss. His wife launched a GoFundMe that quickly raised tens of thousands to cover medical bills. Legal experts wasted no time weighing in. A former prosecutor explained that while combat sports involve consent, no one agrees to broken bones and repeated headshots. Another attorney, Eric Faddis, doubled down, saying Raja's actions crossed the line into criminal assault. Even if there was talk about receipts or playful retaliation, the law doesn't excuse someone delivering 20-plus punches to a barely conscious opponent. The lesson here was sobering. Wrestling may blur reality, but the justice system does not. What happened that night wasn't theater, it was violence. And now Raja wasn't just facing public backlash, but the very real possibility of legal charges that could derail his future. As the story exploded, everyone turned to one person, Rampage Jackson. Would he defend his son or condemn him? Rampage broke his silence on social media, admitting Raja had made a huge mistake. He revealed his son was still recovering from a concussion and shouldn't have been involved at all. Rampage stressed he thought the incident was supposed to be a work, but what happened in the ring crossed every boundary. In his post, Rampage said he didn't condone Raja's actions and made it clear his focus was on Stu's recovery. He even apologized directly to the injured wrestler and a platform kick for his chaos his son caused. For a man known for his brawls inside the cage, Rampage's words carried weight. He wasn't excusing Raja, he was distancing himself from the act entirely. The lesson here? When even your legendary father won't defend you, the seriousness of the situation is undeniable. Rampage's statement left no doubt that Raja's attack wasn't just bad for his own career, but a stain on the Jackson family name. The wrestling world wasted no time responding, and the backlash was swift. Knox Pro Wrestling released one of its strongest statements ever, condemning Raja's actions as selfish, reckless, and irresponsible. They stressed that in 17 years of putting on events, nothing even close to this level of chaos has ever happened before. Their message was clear. This wasn't part of the show. It was an unacceptable attack that endangered a fellow performer and terrified the audience. They even apologized directly to fans, families, and patrons who had come expecting entertainment but instead witnessed something traumatic. Other wrestlers also broke their silence. Douglas the Epic Malo revealed he tried to pull Raja away from Stu, but ended up getting hit in the process. He described the scene as one of the ugliest and most dangerous things he had ever seen in the ring. Instead of working together as trained performers, it felt like he was trapped in a real-life street fight. Several wrestlers admitted later that they were scared not just for Stu, but for the kids sitting in the front row, who were only a few feet away from the violence. The lesson was clear. The wrestling community rejected Raja entirely. Wrestling is built on a delicate balance of trust. Every performer must protect the person they're in the ring with. Raja broke that trust in the worst way possible. By doing so, he didn't just hurt Stu, he hurt himself. Because once a performer is seen as unsafe, no promoter, no company, and no fellow wrestler wants to share a ring with them again. As outrage spread, legal experts began breaking down exactly how dangerous Raja's actions were. They explained that combat sports like MMA, boxing, and wrestling involve consent. Fighters expect to get hit, slammed, or tackled within the boundaries of the sport. But there's always a limit, and Raja went far past it. Nobody consents to being knocked unconscious and then pummeled with over 20 punches while defenseless. Nobody agrees to broken facial bones or missing teeth. At that point, it's not performance, it's a crime. A former federal prosecutor compared the situation to boxing. If a fighter kept swinging after the bell and refused to stop, it would immediately cross into criminal behavior. Wrestling is no different. Eric Faddis reinforced this view, stressing that even if Raja had been told he could get payback, the level of violence went far beyond anything reasonable. In his words, you can't agree to being brutalized. This wasn't consent, it was an assault. The implications for Raja were massive. This wasn't about whether he'd be banned from wrestling events. It was about whether he'd face felony charges, prison time, and a criminal record that could shadow him for the rest of his life. For someone hoping to follow in his father's footsteps, that future looked bleak. The lesson here? Bad judgment in a split second can erase years of effort, and Raja's dream of a fighting career may have ended before it ever truly began. To understand why this incident hit so hard, you have to know who Raja Jackson is. At 25 years old, Raja was trying to carve out his own path in the fight world. He had begun competing in amateur MMA bouts in 2021, and by 2022, he picked up 2 wins. By 2023, he had turned professional, recording a mixed start, 1 win by TKO and 1 loss by decision. He wasn't yet a big name, but he wasn't invisible either. Raja had about 30,000 followers on Instagram, where he shared training clips, workout routines, and moments of his journey to step out of his father's shadow. Being the son of Rampage Jackson came with expectations. Fans wanted to see if he had the same fire, the same charisma, and the same knockout power. But being the son of a legend is a double-edged sword. It meant more eyes on him, more pressure to succeed, and more judgment when things went wrong. And when the wrestling incident happened, all that pressure boiled over. The tragedy is that Raja was at a crossroads. He could have built a reputation as a hungry, young fighter with potential. Instead, his name is now tied to one of the most controversial outbursts the indie wrestling world has seen in years. The lesson is simple but devastating. One night, one decision, and one uncontrolled moment can define you forever. Raja may have dreamed of being remembered for victories in the cage, but now, he risks being remembered only for this. So, where does Raja Jackson go from here? The footage is out there, the backlash is massive, and the investigation is ongoing. Some believe he'll face criminal charges, others think promoters will blacklist him, and a few wonder if this will push him to walk away from fighting altogether. What's certain is that this scandal has changed the way people see him. Instead of being Rampage's son with a promising future, he's become a cautionary tale about what happens when anger takes over. For Rampage Jackson, the situation is equally painful. He built his legacy in the UFC through years of discipline and entertainment. Now his family name is dragged into headlines for all the wrong reasons. Fans sympathize with him, but many also wonder whether Raja was pushed into an environment he wasn't ready for. The father's words made it clear. He didn't condone this, and he won't defend it. The lesson for viewers is chilling but thought-provoking. In the age of live streams, there are no second chances. Once your worst moment goes viral, it can define you forever. Raja's story is still unfolding, but it's already a reminder that one reckless act can ruin a career, damage a legacy, and change everything in an instant. And that leaves us with the biggest question. Was this the boiling point of a young fighter under impossible pressure? Or just a case of bad judgment that spiraled out of control? Either way, Raja Jackson's future is uncertain, and the world will be watching what happens next.